All right, hello everybody. Welcome to this kind of impromptu live stream. I know I did a few of them during the World Hockey Championships. People liked it. I just covered NASCAR this weekend, so I'm very burnt. I'm actually in a lot of pain still, and it's for the first time I've actually done anything on camera since because of it. It was pouring rain, and I still got burnt. But anyways, I got an awesome guest here to talk about a hockey team you probably never even knew existed, but it is true. Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Hinderlie, and from Minnesota, and I live here in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm a coach of the Brazilian national team.
Again, that's just something you don't expect to hear. You don't expect to hear people talking about the Brazilian hockey team, but that's I remember the first time I heard about it a few years ago. I was like, really? This is odd. And then it's come along the last few years.
Yeah, with any growth of a non-traditional sport, everything takes a long time, and I've been a part of this since 2015, and basically, we've been trying to develop some sort of structure and support system where we're able to basically fund our team to not only play in the Pan American tournament, but to do other things beyond going to Mexico City. So, it's been a real struggle, but this year we started a GoFundMe campaign, and we're really off on our own right now. Our governing body, CBDG, is helping us as much as they can. However, their focus is on the ice sports that go to the Olympics. So, it's just been a challenge, but it's been kind of fun too. So, I'm excited and looking forward to getting on the ice and actually coaching these guys and getting them prepared for games.
So how did you kind of first get involved in the team? How did you even hear about it in the first place? And how did you know someone wanted to, or a group of people even wanted to start this team?
Yeah, well, it was basically by chance. I was moving down here. I met a woman on eHarmony, and I'm now married to her. Her name's Gabriella, and she took it upon herself to contact the CBDG and talked with the hockey people there, and she put them in contact with me on WhatsApp, and basically from there we just were talking before I moved down here, and they were looking for an ice hockey coach because they play inline down here, and ice hockey is different from inline, and it just happened to work out where I came here, and literally 4 days after I arrived, I'm on a plane going to watch all these guys play inline and have to choose 20 guys out of 60 players who were interested in going. So it's pretty cool, but just right place, right time, and obviously give the credit to my wife who took it upon herself to open that door. So
cool. So did you have any coaching experience beforehand?
Yeah, I coached up in Alaska, coached kids and adults. And then I coached in Wisconsin in the Appleton School District, high school hockey.
Cool. That's a couple places, again, you don't expect to hear much about hockey. That's awesome. That's great to see places like that. Yeah. So you mentioned a bit about inline, and I guess the ice hockey ice hockey version is relatively new. Can you give me a little bit of the history of hockey in Brazil and maybe like the inline to ice hockey kind of thing?
Sure. Well, as best I can, I'll try to give you the whole spectrum. But basically, they used to have a decent size ice rink here. I mean, bigger than what they have now with actual boards, and so they could play hockey on it in a supermarket called Estra, right here in Rio de Janeiro, and that's kind of where hockey grew here, ice hockey wise. And, inline was always a part of, I think, started in the 80s, mainly with roller skating, and then grew when inline rollerblades came out. But it really took off with the movie, Mighty Ducks.
Of course.
Those three movies really sent a real surge of players, young kids wanting to play ice hockey, wanting to play inline. And from what I was told by some players, I think it was the third or second movie where they're playing inline hockey with the guys in California. Was that the second one?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of that. From that movie, it really started to drive a lot of interest in developing hockey here. And my assistant coach and really the manager of our hockey program right now, Alexander Capelli, he and some other guys got things moving, and really started developing some kids. And from there, it's just kind of I think they've done well internationally and inline, and our team is going to the World Championships this year in the Czech Republic.
Congrats.
Which is kind of bad because it's a month after our tournament in Mexico, so we don't get everybody that could come and play in the ice hockey tournament. But it's still a good opportunity for them to go compete on the highest stage of inline hockey.
So how does a team that never played the ice, and I'm actually, if I'm correct, Pan Am Ice Hockey Tournament, the very first year, was the very first time the team ever hit the ice, correct?
Yeah, 2014. That was a year before I came.
Okay, so do you know kind of how Brazil kind of got involved with the tournament? I know it was before you, but do you kind of know how the team got involved?
So a group of guys, this tournament began because Mexico City and the Mexican Federation got behind the building of a international size ice sheet. So from that point on, the Mexican Federation decided to start having a tournament. So they opened up this tournament in 2014 to the rest of South America, and Brazil, being one of the countries asked, got a group of guys to go play, and anybody who really wanted to go went. And I don't know how much support they had, but from what I've heard, it wasn't pretty on the ice. They got beat pretty badly, but they didn't. I don't think they had a lot of support either. They just kind of went. It was just anybody who really wanted to go.
Yeah, essentially that tournament was dominated by Canada from the get-go. Every single game was just Canada dominated. Mexico, they had a decent run in the tournament. Colombia, that was their first time playing too, and Argentina was the first tournament. So a bunch of those teams, that was a big deal for that very first tournament. And I remember hearing about how all the teams were kind of sticking together, staying around the hotel. They were hanging out a lot, which is great. For some of those guys, it was cool to see, hey, Team Canada's come here. But in reality, that Team Canada was like a beer league team. And they have not returned since. There was rumors of them coming back this year. It's not happening, but we will see a brand new country in Chile coming in. So you've been involved with the team now for the last couple of years. And what has the team kind of learned in the last few years to get to the point where they're a bit more competitive, at least since they started?
Sure. Well, in 2015, there was a concerted effort to put together a real team, hence the reason they were looking for a coach. So, that year there was support. The CBDG really, they had some extra money to really help us move forward with a legit hockey team. And they supported the players who could go, who wanted to go. And so we had a good, group of guys who wanted to go. And basically when we arrived, I didn't really know what I was going to expect. I noticed from inline hockey, they had good hockey sense. But, inline's much different from ice hockey. It's 4 guys versus 5 guys. And, just the ice, stopping on ice is completely different. So, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but for the most part, most of these guys had played with each other for a long time. So I just kind of, taught them the basics, all right, where do you stand on a face-off? And, here's how you break out with a center instead of 4 guys, and so it was pretty cool though, and they just kind of took it upon themselves. And I remember our first game, we were down 2-0 to the Mexican B team, and they came back and we scored 5 unanswered goals. And, that was really, for me, it showed me their character and their resolve. And these guys are some really, really amazing athletes. And Brazil has amazing athletes all over in many different sports. But, these guys have become to learn how to be a hockey player, an ice hockey player. And last year really showed me that they were starting to really figure it out. And, there's many differences, and I can go on for 10 minutes about the difference between inline and ice hockey. But for me, the biggest one is inline shift versus ice hockey shift. An inline shift might be 2 minutes where you're kind of standing around, you're not always moving your feet. And so in ice hockey, if you're doing that, you're really not doing much out there on the ice. So, but they really started to figure that out. And last year, did a great job and gave 100% effort. And, that's kind of what I try to do with all my teams is just, you gotta, hockey's the greatest game on earth because if you work hard, it'll beat talent that doesn't work hard. So, because it's one of those working man games, and it's if you work hard, good things can happen, and you can have success. So
awesome. So there's that tournament, while it isn't on a high scale of what you see the World Championship, for example, has produced a lot of great games. You mentioned that one game where you guys came back against Mexico, and then I recall Colombia won their championship in I believe it was 2015. They had to come back against Mexico, and that was pretty cool. And it is good hockey. It's guys who, for the most part, that's the highest level they'll ever play, but it's still extremely strong hockey and competitive hockey. It's great to watch, and I love seeing those guys. I love the teams getting involved. So, who are a couple of the players on your team that are kind of the stars and kind of leading the way?
Well, our goalie, number one, Alan Ronnie, is he's held us in many games, and he grew up in Brazil and then he moved to the United States, so he's had the advantage of playing up there. He played in, I think, Miami area for a while. Now he lives in Philadelphia. Our captain, Bruno Gomez, who's older than me actually. So it's he lives in Argentina, and he's really the heart and soul of our team. The guy just lays it all on the line. He loves the game of hockey, and really is the inspirational leader for our team. And Gustavo Tecchio, Daniel Vanucci, these guys are doing amazing things, giving back to the community here, coaching kids and trying to develop that next generation of hockey players, as long as and also FIFO Custodio. I don't know how you say that. I just call him FIFO. FIFO as well as also coach, and I'm glad he's coming this year. He's all three of the last guys I just said are a major part of our defensive core, and we've had other guys have other experiences this year. Jan Graciano has been in Canada all year, so I'm hoping to see some better things out of him this year. But he's a young kid, 21 years old, a lot of talent, and just has to put it all together this year. And I think we have a new guy who grew up playing hockey a little bit in Australia, Danilo. He's going to be a good center for us this year. So, we have a brand new group of guys every year. So it's a little difficult to manage the team chemistry, but we have great leadership, like I said, with Bruno Gomez, and that goes a long way in the success of any team.
So this year, you guys are entering 2 teams, correct?
Yep. So
how does that work this time? Because you're still a relatively new team. How did you get the ability to have 2 teams in this tournament?
Well, we just had a lot of interest. We have a lot of guys who wanted to play. We have guys coming from California, Florida, and really these are the guys that kind of grew up maybe in the 80s playing hockey and inline hockey, and never really had a chance to play on an ice hockey team. So this will be their first opportunity, and most of the guys never played Czech hockey. I forgot to mention that. So teaching them how to hit and hit cleanly without hurting people is a real challenge for us, Argentina and Colombia. The guys aren't used to playing Czech hockey, so that's another big thing that we have to work with in terms of teaching in the 9 hours or less that we have before the tournament starts. So, yeah.
How close would you say like the teams in the tournament kind of are in terms of like I'm assuming you guys all obviously are on good terms, but like do you guys work together like throughout the year to kind of share ideas and help each other out somehow?
Yeah, you mean how close are we with like Colombia and Mexico and
those teams. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean we've tried to work out some scenarios where we can, the head coach of the Colombian team is Sam from
great guy.
Orange County. Yeah, he's a great guy. And, to try to go over there and train with, a group of his players and, get some ice time. And, the biggest problem really is time off from these players that go play on the national team is their employers don't, they have to use their vacation time to go play for their national team.
And for a team that a lot of people are just like, what? Really? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's a different situation, obviously.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have 5 or 6 guys that literally can't come because their boss did not let them leave work. And, Brazil's going through a pretty serious economic crisis right now. So, there's a lot of obstacles, and we're just I'm happy, and our coaching staff is happy to have the group that we have going. And, I'm hopeful that in the future we can do more than just have this tournament. I've talked with Sam and Diego, the head coach of the Mexican team, about what we can maybe do. But, we'll see. It comes down to resources and, like I said, the hardest problem is getting these guys the time off from work.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense because you don't get that situation, obviously, when you have the Olympics when all these guys are fully paid to do what they're doing. So it's a different situation, even though it will be not NHL players, obviously, the next Olympics. You and I have briefly talked about the status of getting a rink in the country. Well, what would you say the status of the future of getting a rink in Brazil is right now?
Well, I mean, you always have hope, I guess, but I've had a few people reach out to me from the United States and had some good conversations with different people who have given me some really good suggestions. The problem right now is really the situation in this country. Just a few months ago, we had a state north of Rio here that literally couldn't pay their police officers and their public workers. So it was just like the Purge movie, I mean, things were going crazy up there. So, yeah, and now we're there may be another president impeached here. So I mean, hockey's on the back burner of what's really most important in the country right now. But in hindsight, or not in hindsight, but on the other end of that is, I think if we are able to have success, I think we can really provide a spark for something new, a new vision for this country, which it really needs. I mean, the archaic thinking about a lot of different things concerning sports in general, and many other economical things that I won't get into, but they need people. The people want it, but the bureaucracy of the government doesn't truly allow for these doors to be open to ice hockey or hockey, and inline specifically right now. I mean, the guys have such a hard time getting equipment, and that's one thing actually I want to talk to you about. If anybody out there has any equipment they'd like to donate, we have here in Rio at least a group of 50 to 70 kids that are in need of hockey equipment, specifically gloves and shin pads, and obviously skates if you have them. But, it'd be difficult to get it down here, but we always have players moving back and forth, not moving, but flying back and forth. And if we can arrange something to pick up this equipment, that would be a huge help and just really help grow the game at the younger levels here. And, that's really the next step too that has to happen. We're in the works of it's great we have two teams coming this year. We have some younger guys in that group, but a lot of them are in the older range of over 35. So we really need to develop a group within the junior national age range under 18 to 13. And so the publicity we've gotten with our trailer and our documentary and with our GoFundMe project has really I've received a lot of calls and emails from people who have were telling me, oh, my son's playing in California and he's 13 years old, and they send me videos. I'm like, hey, he could come play for us now if he wants. But so there's a benefit in that, and we have a kid from Sweden coming this year, and we have another guy a young kid in Finland who's 16. He's going to be playing the USHL, hopefully for the Sioux City team, and so we're this is a third year really where we're really starting to see some growth. And the next step is really having that ultimate success on the ice and winning a gold medal. I mean, Colombia's beaten Mexico twice now in a row, and I think really if the team buys in to what the coach is selling and what the goal is, anything is really possible if they sacrifice for each other, and because. Hockey's a strange. Look at Ottawa Senators right now. They are, they were a 6th place team in the Eastern Conference, and they are one win away from going to the the Stanley Cup Finals. So, anything can happen, and we'll just let the chips fall where they may.
Yep. I do want to talk about the fundraiser in a minute because it's been very interesting to follow. One quick story I want to share. It's in Puerto Rico. So back in 2006, because this is on the topic of the ice, and they hosted a game between the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers, and was supposed to be huge for the country there. And it was a massive flop. I believe I read something like only a couple hundred people showed up in a rink that could fit NHL numbers, could fit 17,000 people. Massive rink, and they were getting almost nobody. I believe what I read was they were busing in school kids from a local school just so they can kind of look a bit better at the rink and show there's a bit more people. Obviously, they never played another game there, but then the government said no ice hockey, and they leave the ice for concerts and other things, or the rink itself for concerts, and the team would have to break in to that rink and a couple of smaller ones just to have a chance to play hockey at any level, just in the middle of the night. And that's obviously not, I don't want to see any team have to do that. They're finally getting to play again with a new government there, and they're starting to play sledge hockey, and they're hoping to kind of go back into doing ice hockey. And again, there's a bunch of people watching right now, so I'm hoping the right people hear about getting the equipment, because that'd be great. I know personally I don't have any equipment anymore, unfortunately, but I was never good at hockey. Let's just say that. I played for many years. Wasn't good. I played every single position. I was better at ball hockey. As soon as we went to the ice hockey, that's when I started. I cover it. I don't play it. But anyway, so I've been doing a GoFundMe campaign, and
yeah.
So what exactly are you trying to achieve with it, and how's it gone so far?
Well, here's how I kind of view this whole team in general. I see it as a carrot for the rest of Brazil and for hockey in general here in this country. It's a marketing tool, and an opportunity for these players to gain some great experience. But the big picture is, we want exposure. We want people to know what we're trying to do, so that we can get that ice rink built. Hockey's very expensive. It's very expensive. However, this country specifically has culture of going into shopping malls, and here in Rio, there's a shopping mall, I think, every half kilometer, from here to downtown. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding, man. I mean, there's a lot of shopping malls. So, with that, it's helping these, mall owners or anybody who has a lot of money see that this would be a good investment for not only immediate return, because I believe it really could be, because I mean, you have, there's 10 million people in this city, and there's 22 million people in Sao Paulo with no beach. I mean, to me, we just need the right person with the right deep pockets who loves hockey, who says, "Yep, this is what I want to support." Obviously, there's other issues that are involving the government, and I don't worry about all that politics, but I just see that there's an opportunity here. I grew up in Minnesota. We didn't have to go pay to play hockey; you could just go skate outside. But I truly believe this could be the one place maybe in the world that could actually make money off of an ice hockey rink.
Cool.
And so we'll just have to wait and see. But right now, we have really high energy costs as well for this little rink here in Rio. The energy costs are just through the roof. So that's a 30 foot by 90 foot ice rink, 10 by 30 meters ice rink, and it's tiny. With a really short ceiling. So these guys who are 6 feet, they can probably hit their head on the light. So it's perfect for kids right now, and these kids are learning. But bringing any equipment in here, skate sharpener, all this stuff is just it's a lot of money because of the import tax as well. So like I said, let me reiterate: if you have some equipment or anything you'd like to help us with, we will find ship it somewhere in the United States, and we'll find somebody to bring it down here for us. So, but I really believe, the future of ice hockey, the future of hockey is ice hockey here in Brazil. Inline will still play a role, obviously, until a real ice rink is built. But we have to. It's every year we have to change the mindset of these guys to get out of the inline mindset. There are offsides. There is icing.
Yeah.
You can't just stand at one end of the ice and wait for the puck. You have to play a 200-foot game, and so I'm just excited to get out there on the ice and coach these guys again and coach this team, because I truly see the potential not only in this team but the country of ice hockey here. And like I said before, there's amazing athletes in Brazil, amazing athletes, and they just need an opportunity. And like most things, it's just that open door which can really change someone's whole future. So who knows what'll happen? But like I said, our GoFundMe campaign is great to really help show people what we're doing.
Cool. And for people who are watching the stream, the link for the GoFundMe page is in the description of this, so make sure to donate. I know there is a documentary, and you've do you want to talk a bit about that? Because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great. Last year, about a month before we were headed to Mexico, my dad said, your cousin Jack, he's a great filmmaker. We should have him come down here, and we should have him go to Mexico and make a documentary about what you guys did and what you guys are doing. And literally, they had one conversation one night, and they worked it out. And Jack flew down there and got some great interviews of our players, and really told an amazing story about not only about hockey, but just kind of how these what Brazilians struggle with down here. Everybody dreams about playing ice hockey, but these dreams are truly frozen because there's just lack of resources, lack of opportunities to truly chase after this dream of playing ice hockey. So hence the name of the documentary, Dreams of Ice, or Sonhos de Gelo. And it's actually in the Brazilian International Film Festival this weekend in Teresópolis. So if you're in Brazil, 3 p.m. Friday, this Friday, whatever the date that is, in Teresópolis. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was very well done, but yeah, if you donate to the GoFundMe campaign, we'll send you the link to watch it. And even if you want to donate $5, we will send you the link to the movie and enjoy. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's because believe it or not, I actually pitched a Canadian media outlet the idea of doing a documentary on the Pan Am Ice Hockey Games, with attention specifically to Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina as three of the newer teams. And unfortunately, it did not work, mostly because people or Canadian outlets don't care about hockey that isn't in the NHL. So that's the thing. Like you walk down the street. I live in a busy part of Toronto. If you walk 25 minutes, you got the Air Canada Center, which of course just has the Leafs. They got the Toronto Raptors. They have the World Juniors, the World Cup, everything. There's at least 3 or 4 rinks within walking distance of where I live. And yeah, there's so many different places you can buy hockey equipment, and we just take that for granted here. So it's a totally different story. I did get a question from George De Silva from the National Teams of Ice Hockey. He asked about the future of a women's hockey team in Brazil, and should we expect anything like that soon, or is that just even tougher?
Yeah, we tried to get a Brazilian women's team together. We only got 3 ladies that were interested, so unfortunately we weren't able to put it together this year. However, there is another group that put together their own team. It's not necessarily a sanctioned Brazilian national team, but there is a group of women that are going. I think it's a mixture of Brazilian and maybe Mexican women that are playing as a Brazilian team. But yes, we are, I mean, everything ice hockey, we are focused on really developing. And, especially this year, we're really trying to develop our structure of really the leadership, right? Basically the last couple of years, it's been Capelli, and then he invited me to be the coach. And so, and this year we're really doing our own thing. So we have managed everything from booking hotels to getting our jerseys and everything now. So we're really, taking it upon ourselves to, develop not a private enterprise, but our own little hockey association that is dedicated to ice hockey. And we are all on board and helping support anybody who wants to play hockey in general.
And you are selling jerseys too, right?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're selling jerseys as a donation as well. This really helps support our team. We're able to ship to anywhere in Europe and Asia, and also U.S. and Canada as well. And we're working on doing something to ship to South America, but right now with the import tax stuff, I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, if you're interested in owning a little piece of Brazilian history, and I mean, these are our first ever ice hockey jerseys. The last few years we had real thin inline jerseys that we used, and so we're really thankful to HBC Hockey for supporting us and putting together these jerseys for us. And right now we're hoping they arrive in Mexico on time.
That's definitely a good thing to look for. I'm a jersey collector myself, so I definitely know I'll be picking one up soon. And they're beautiful jerseys. They're beautiful. So whoever designed them, that's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on this and spreading the story about hockey in Brazil.
Hey, Steve, thanks, man. And like I told you before, you are the ambassador for hockey around the world right now. So you got to keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully somebody out there sees the value that you bring, because you really tell the story of the stories that aren't being told. And that's so important for, teams like Lebanon and Uganda or wherever else hockey's being played around the world. But, this is a great game. And, I grew up in Minnesota, played all sports, but I mean, ice hockey is just, there's a connection to the heart that I think is kind of supersedes all other sports from my perspective. And it's just different when you're skating on the ice and giving that opportunity to somebody who's never done it before, I think is truly amazing. And, I'm hopeful that we can truly try to make that happen, whether it's with real ice or synthetic ice. That's another big thing that I think could be an opportunity here as well, and elsewhere around the world. So, So thanks again, Steve, for what you're doing, and appreciate you having me on here tonight.
Well, remember, it's guys like you that actually make the hockey happen, so people can talk about it. So, again, thank you,
I just stand behind a bench and yell, So
hey, it's someone has to do it. So
yeah, that's true. And tell everybody if you want to watch our games, we're going to stream all of our games live on our Facebook page, Ice Hockey Brazil. Is it Ice Hockey Brazil or Hockey Ice Brazil? No, Ice Hockey Brazil is our Facebook page. And,
I'll throw it in the description of it.
Appreciate it.
All righty, thank you everybody for listening.